Have you ever had the desire to have someone around you make a change? And instantly, what you wanted to do, like the instinct, was to pressure that person to change. And some of you guys have tried this approach, and I want you to think about, like, how did that work out? Most of the time, when you apply pressure to somebody to make a change, I would say that a good majority, maybe 8 or 9 out of 10, push back. They resist. There's this reflex that exists in all of us that we push back. We almost, if we're thinking of with our ego specifically, like, we're almost upset that someone would suggest that we have to change, or we need to change, or push us to change. Like, we want to make those decisions for ourselves as adults. It's like almost this inner child is throwing a temper tantrum when that happens. It's hard to apply pressure to change. It's hard to pressure somebody that you know to make a change. So then you ask me, or maybe you're asking yourself, like, but Mauro, I want this person to make the change because I care for them. I want the best for them. And I know that this change will help them. And that may very well be true. Like, you have the best intention in mind. You have the best intent here. But it doesn't always come across like that when someone is being asked to change. So the alternative, and perhaps the approach that we have to take, is that we can only really be the example for that person as best as we can, educate them as best as we can, and educate them not in a way that is condescending, not in a way that's patronizing. We want to educate, show them, what we're doing, perhaps send them articles that might be helpful for people who are just starting. I think there's another sort of side note here. Sometimes you've had such a change, you've learned so much that you want to impart that to somebody else, but maybe it's just too much information right away. It's too much detail. It makes it seem harder than it actually is, because you're talking about all these details that you're currently focusing on, and perhaps that person just needs to walk more. Back to the original idea here. So you can educate them, you can be an example for them, you can invite them along to watch you, to follow along. You can offer some support if they ask for it. This is the interesting thing. Like, you'll have a hard time pushing somebody into doing something. You can ask them, you can set up the situation, the environment for them to succeed. So if this is a family member and they live with you, perhaps if you're doing the grocery shopping, you can supply the tools that are necessary to change. Maybe it's, bring them as a guest to your fitness facility, whatever it is. In the end, you can't pressure them. You can't force them. You can't push them. It almost needs to be like, come along with me. It's like, I'll help you out. It's this team effort feeling rather than, you got to do this. Look at me, I'm doing it, you should do it too. It should, and I think most of you guys are starting to understand, because most people have made changes and tried to apply that pressure to somebody else after realizing how much of a great feeling it's been to make those changes. But it's hard to apply pressure to make somebody change. And you got to help them by being the example, by educating them, by just continually be around, answer questions if they have questions. And at some point, when they're ready, guess who they're going to come out to? They're going to come to you because you've been there to support them and you haven't pushed them in any way. So remember, it's hard to apply pressure to change.